Somebody talks about you, you react. Somebody rejects you, you collapse. Something doesn't go your way, you lose yourself in frustration. And before you know it, you're no longer living from the inside out. You're living from the outside in. And when you live that way, you're nothing but a puppet, and the world pulls your strings. But detachment cuts those strings. Detachment says, you will not pull me like a puppet because I've taken my life back. I've taken my joy back. I've taken my peace back. That is not indifference. That is power. Now hear me. Power doesn't come from controlling the world. Power comes from controlling yourself. You cannot dictate the wind, but you can set your sail. You cannot stop people from leaving, lying, or betraying, but you can stop giving them the authority to dictate how you feel, how you move, how you dream. Detachment gives you the ability to stay steady while the storm is raging. Because life will always bring storms of disappointment, storms of betrayal, storms of delay. But if you let every wave knock you down, you'll drown before you ever reach your purpose. Detachment builds within you an anchor. You may bend, but you will not break. You may be tested, but you will not crumble. Think about this. When you are attached to outcomes, you live in fear. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I lose it all? And the more you fear losing, the tighter you cling. But the tighter you cling, the more miserable you become, because nothing in this life is permanent. The truth is, you cannot control whether people stay or go, whether opportunities rise or fall, whether things turn out the way you expect. But what you can control is your response. That's where the power lies, in your ability to say, I will remain unshaken. Detachment releases you from fear, because once you no longer cling, you are no longer owned by what you fear to lose. And some of you right now, you're tired because you're holding on too tightly. You're trying to grip things that are slipping through your fingers. You're trying to keep doors open that God already closed. You're trying to force people to love you who have already shown you they don't. And you wonder why your spirit feels heavy. It's because attachment has become your chain. But detachment breaks the chain. It says, I can love you and still let you go. I can believe in my dream and still survive the delays. I can face rejection and still know my worth. That's power. That's strength. That's how you take your life back. So don't confuse detachment with not caring. Detachment is not weakness, it's mastery over yourself, mastery over your emotions, mastery over your peace. It's the decision that nothing and no one outside of you will ever again dictate who you are, how far you go, or how much you shine. Detachment is not about walking away from life. It's about walking into it with power. Because when you learn to detach, you don't lose. You gain. You gain clarity. You gain freedom. You gain the strength to live on your terms, not the world's terms. And that, my friend, is the foundation of change. Your peace is priceless. You can replace money. You can rebuild homes. You can restore relationships. But when you lose your peace, you lose yourself. Peace is the anchor of your soul. Peace is the voice inside that says, I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I refuse to be moved by what comes against me. Without peace, life becomes a battlefield where you're fighting everyone, including yourself. That's why peace is wealth. It is the currency of a strong mind and a free spirit. And if you are wise, you will guard your peace the way a banker guards the vault. Because once it's gone, every area of your life begins to collapse under the weight of stress. Now, here's the truth. Anything that can rob you of your peace has already become your master. If someone's opinion of you keeps you up at night, they are your master. If your financial condition has the power to strip you of joy, then money has become your master. If fear of rejection keeps you paralyzed, then the approval of others owns you, and you were never created to live like that. You were not designed to be a slave to situations, circumstances, or people. You were designed to be free, and freedom starts the moment you say, nothing outside of me will control what's inside of me. That's when peace becomes your shield. You see, when peace leaves, confusion enters, and where confusion enters, purpose disappears. Think about it. When you are disturbed, when your emotions are spinning out of control, you can't think clearly, you can't hear your inner guidance, you can't see the opportunity in front of you. But when you protect your peace, when you detach from the drama, you become clear. And in clarity comes wisdom. That's why peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without it, you'll chase shadows. With it, you'll walk in light. Some of you right now are living in turmoil because you've given your peace away too cheaply. You handed it over to gossip. You handed it over to people who don't value you. You handed it over to situations you cannot control. And every time you do that, you lower the value of your life. But hear me, your peace is too expensive to sell to the lowest bidder. You've got to decide that no matter what happens around you, you will protect the stillness within you. That's not denial. That's not ignorance. That is wisdom. Because if you lose your peace, you lose your peace. You lose your power. Detachment is the weapon that guards you. When you detach, you're saying, I acknowledge what's happening, but I refuse to be enslaved by it. I will respond, but I will not react. I will move with intention, not emotion. That is power. That's what makes a leader unshakable. That's what makes a dreamer unstoppable. Because while others are drowning in the noise of life, you are sailing steadily toward destiny, guided by an inner calm. Detachment is not running away. It is standing tall and saying, this storm may roar, but it will not rule me. So understand this, your peace is the foundation of your purpose. If you don't have peace, you can't hear God's voice clearly. If you don't have peace, you can't trust your own decisions. If you don't have peace, you'll keep getting pulled in directions that lead you nowhere. But when you decide that peace is non-negotiable, your life shifts. Because with peace comes focus, with peace comes vision, and with peace comes strength. And once you're grounded in that kind of peace, the world may shake, but you will not. That is wealth. That is success. That is true freedom. When you learn the art of detachment, you elevate yourself above the chaos of life. You stop getting dragged into every argument, every disappointment, every distraction. You rise above. Because hear me, life will always present you with opportunities to get angry, to get bitter, to get distracted. But you have to decide, am I going to waste my energy fighting battles that don't matter? Or am I going to rise above and focus on what does? Detachment is the ladder that lifts you out of the mud and places you back on higher ground. It doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you don't drown in it. You choose elevation over entanglement. When you're attached to everything, you react to everything. Somebody says something about you, you lash out. Something doesn't go your way, you break down. And suddenly your life becomes a cycle of reaction instead of direction. But when you detach, you shift from reacting to responding. A reaction is emotional, but a response is intentional. A reaction drains your energy, but a response directs it. A reaction is driven by fear, but a response is driven by purpose. Detachment gives you the ability to pause, breathe, and say, how do I want to show up in this moment? That's wisdom. That's strength. You've got to stop letting temporary storms destroy permanent possibilities. Too many people lose their destiny because they couldn't detach from a distraction. They got caught up in the noise and lost sight of the vision. They let petty things block powerful things. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to rise, you've got to let go of the weight that keeps you low. Detachment is not weakness, it is wings. It allows you to rise above the storms, to see farther, to move lighter. Because you can't climb while you're clutching everything that wants to pull you down. Think about the eagle. The eagle does not fight the storm. It uses the storm. It doesn't stay low, flapping around with the crows. No, the eagle rises above the storm, letting the wind lift it higher. That's what detachment does for you. It doesn't mean the storm disappears. It means the storm loses the power to keep you down. You use it as fuel. You use it as training. You use it as elevation. When you detach, you stop being trapped by what's happening, and you start being guided by where you're going. Detachment also protects your energy. Because hear me, every time you react to negativity, you are giving away your life force. Every time you allow anger, gossip, or criticism to pull you in, you're spending energy that could have been invested in building your dream. But when you detach, you stop spending energy on nonsense and you start investing it in greatness. Detachment says, I don't have time for this. I don't have the luxury to lose myself in what doesn't matter. My calling is too high. My destiny is too great. My life is too valuable. That's how you protect your gift. That's how you keep rising. So let me tell you this. Detachment is your elevation strategy. It's how you step out of the small battles and into the big picture. It's how you stop living on the level of emotion and start living on the level of vision. It's how you stop letting life push you and you start moving life with your decisions. When you detach, you don't just rise, you soar. And once you soar, once you experience life from above, you will never again allow yourself to be dragged down into the mud. That's the power of detachment. That's the power of rising above. Resilience is not the absence of hardship. It's the ability to rise in the face of it. But here's the truth. You cannot be resilient if your identity is chained to circumstances. If your joy depends on everything going right, then the moment life goes wrong, you collapse. If your strength depends on everyone supporting you, then the moment they walk away, you fall apart. Resilience is born the moment you say, I am not my circumstances. I am not my setbacks. I am not my disappointments. I am bigger than all of it. Detachment unlocks that kind of resilience. It breaks the chain that ties your worth to what happens to you. Life is unpredictable. There will be seasons of abundance and seasons of lack. There will be times of applause and times of silence. There will be days when the door swings wide open and days when it slams in your face. If you're attached to outcomes, you'll ride that roller coaster until it breaks you. But when you detach, you learn how to stand when everything around you is shaking. You learn how to bend but not break. Detachment teaches you how to lose without being lost. Because hear me, failure is not final. Rejection is not fatal. Disappointment is not the end. But if you're attached to the idea that you must never fail, that everyone must always stay, that things must always work in your favor, then every disruption feels like destruction. Detachment frees you from that. It allows you to face loss and still see hope. It allows you to walk through fire and still carry your dream. It allows you to be knocked down but never knocked out. That's resilience, the spirit that refuses to quit. Some of you right now are carrying scars that came from moments you thought would destroy you. But look at you, you're still here. You thought you wouldn't survive, but you did. You thought you couldn't stand, but you are. That is resilience already inside you. The only reason you can't always feel it is because you're still too attached to what you lost. But once you let go, once you release what was, you'll see that nothing you faced has been able to break you. The pain was real, but the power inside you was greater. Detachment helps you see that survival is proof of strength. Detachment also shifts your perspective on setbacks. Instead of saying, why me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? And the moment you change that question, resilience awakens. Because resilience is not about running from pain, it's about learning from it. Detachment gives you the distance to see that failure was feedback, rejection was redirection, and loss was making room for something greater. That perspective keeps you moving when others stop. It keeps you growing when others give up. It keeps you alive when others are defeated. So I say to you, detach from the need to control the outcome, and you will discover a strength that nothing can crush. Detach from the fear of falling, and you will learn how to fly. Detach from the weight of the past, and you will step into the resilience that was in you all along. Because resilience is not about avoiding the storm, it's about becoming the storm. And when you walk in detachment, you are no longer the victim of circumstances. You are the master of them. You are unbreakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Destiny does not wait for the person who is distracted. Destiny doesn't wait for the one who is holding on to what should have been or clinging to what could have been. Destiny moves forward, and if you want to walk with it, you must learn the discipline of detachment. Detachment is not giving up. It is letting go of what is no longer aligned so you can hold on to what truly matters. It's the wisdom to say, this is not mine to carry. This is not mine to chase. This is not mine to fix. My energy belongs to my calling. When you do that, you stop scattering your power in 1,000 directions and you start aligning it with purpose. That's when destiny begins to unfold. Think about this. Every time you cling to what you cannot control, you delay what you were created for. Every time you fight to hold on to something that's slipping away, you waste the strength you could be using to build what's ahead. Destiny doesn't reveal itself to the desperate, it reveals itself to the focused, and focus only comes through detachment. You cannot hear the voice of your calling when the noise of attachment is louder than the whisper of purpose. Detachment quiets the noise. It centers you. It aligns you. And when you are aligned, your steps are guided with power. There's a reason why some doors closed, why some people left, why some plans didn't work out. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. But you will never see that if you're still attached to how it should have been. Detachment gives you the courage to release what fell apart so you can receive what's coming together. Because destiny is not behind you, it's in front of you. And the moment you stop wrestling with what's gone, you free yourself to embrace what's ahead. That's alignment. That's when your life starts flowing in rhythm with your purpose. And hear me, you can't carry everything and still move forward. Destiny requires travel light. You cannot walk into your future while dragging the dead weight of yesterday. Detachment is laying down that weight. It's a decision to no longer be chained to your past, to no longer be enslaved by your mistakes, to no longer be tied to people who don't belong in your next chapter. When you let go, you create space, and space is where destiny breathes. Space is where new opportunities enter. Space is where the divine connections happen. Detachment also aligns your energy with what matters most. Too many people burn themselves out fighting battles that don't move them closer to their purpose. They argue, they worry, they obsess over things that don't matter in the big picture. But when you detach, you reclaim your energy. You say, I will not waste my strength here. I will invest it in what I was created to do. And when your energy is aligned with your assignment, you become unstoppable. Because the universe, the creator, and your own spirit all work in agreement to move you forward. So understand this. Detachment is not a loss. It's alignment. It is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the bridge between who you were and who you were meant to be. And when you surrender the need to control, when you let go of what doesn't serve you, you finally align with what was written for you all along. That's when doors open that no man can shut. That's when opportunities chase you down. That's when you step fully into destiny, not by clinging, not by forcing, but by aligning. And once you align, nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were created to be. Confidence that lasts is not built on titles, on possessions, or on applause. It is built on freedom. And freedom is born in detachment. Because when you are no longer owned by outcomes, when you are no longer chained to people's opinions, when you are no longer a slave to fear, you begin to walk differently. Your head lifts higher, your shoulders square, your voice carries strength. Why? That's why the confident, attached soul can keep moving forward in silence, in rejection, in delay, because their worth does not fluctuate with circumstances. So hear me well. When you detach, you don't lose strength, you gain it. You don't lose love, you multiply it. You don't lose yourself. You finally find yourself. And when you live from that place, you carry a boldness that no setback can break, no criticism can weaken, and no failure can destroy. That's the kind of confidence that makes the impossible possible. That's the kind of confidence that shakes the earth, That's the kind of confidence that destiny requires. And it only comes when you rise up and declare, I will not be owned. I will not be bound. I will walk in freedom and I will walk in power. My friends, hear me. Life will always test you. It will try to pull you down with opinions, with failures, with losses, with storms you never saw coming. But you are not here just to survive. You are here to live fully, to walk in power, to fulfill destiny. And the key, the thread that runs through it all is detachment. Because detachment is not running away from life. It is stepping into life with freedom. It is not indifference. It is mastery. It is not weakness. It is strength. When you detach, you take back the strings of your life from the world. You stop giving people permission to define your worth. You stop letting money dictate your peace. You stop letting outcomes decide your joy. You rise above the noise. You clear your vision. You build resilience. You align with destiny. You walk in unstoppable confidence. That's what happens when you decide, I will not be moved by what happens around me, because I am anchored by what God placed inside of me. You see, real power is not in controlling everything. It's in mastering yourself.